All right. How's everybody doing? Good. So, as Lewis said, my name is Walter Roberts II, and just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the financial planning and systems part of entrepreneurship. Just a little bit about me. I started a company called All Night Consulting and Solutions about 5 years ago, and kind of like a do-it-all type of company. You know, we started out in a lot of like personal development, things like that. I even did some. I even did some fitness training and some health and wellness and those types of things until I found my niche, which actually ended up being a lot of investments and personal as well as business planning and wealth building. That's what I'm really into. My big thing is, generational wealth and finding ways to make those types of things happen. A lot of times without breaking the bank, without breaking your pockets and things like that. First, okay, so when we talk about wealth building and wealth generating and financial planning when it comes to business, I like to focus a lot on structure in the beginning. Okay, so how are we adding value, right? Because I'm a firm believer in if you don't add value, right, then eventually money stops flowing. Right, value stops coming to you. So the best way to have cash flow, the best way to plan for the future in terms of your finances and business growth and scaling is to make sure that we're adding value. Right, so whether that be with your product or your service, whatever that is, we need to make sure that you're always adding more than what you're taking. Right, so when it comes to the financial planning side of it, okay, what I strive to make sure that I do is invest in self first, right? Because, like I said, whether it be your product or your service, whatever the case may be, if you're not putting money back into yourself, money, time, resources, all those things, if you're not finding those things and putting them back into yourself, then of course you can't add value, externally to your clients or customers, whoever's coming to you for business. So, does everyone in here already have an existing business? Yes?
Well, half and half.
Half and half? Okay, cool. So, I guess then I'll ask you all. When it comes to your product or your service, so as far as structure goes, right? What are you looking to do for your clients, customers, community? I believe that I was created to change the world. So that's what I look at. I look at what kind of value I can add on a global scale, right? So as far as your, particular niche, your community, your clients, customers, do you look to add value? Is that your initial?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you get consumers if you want to keep your business.
Right.
I don't know.
Right, yeah, I agree because, at the end of the day, the bottom line says we're in business to make money, of course, so, that absolutely matters. Okay, I'll ask, I guess, an opinion question. Do you believe that adding value is the best way to receive value, the best way to stay in business, the best way to scale and be, a very, very profitable company?
Absolutely.
Right, okay, great. So when we think about, adding value, right, it's about, of course, giving more than you're taking, all those types of things, but it doesn't absolutely have to be all about adding value to the consumer, right? Well, I guess in a way, but it has to start with adding value to yourself. So what are you invested in, right? And I don't just mean financially, because if you have a business already, of course you're invested in that business, right? But what are you doing to add value to yourself in order to add value to the business, in order to add value to your customers, right? Your clients on the receiving end of that, okay? One thing that I did initially was I started trading Forex. Anybody know what Forex is?
No, what is that?
Yeah, okay, so Forex is the buying and selling of currencies, one country's currency versus the other. So it's similar to the stock market. However, the stock market on any given day will trade about $30 billion, in resources, assets, those types of things, goods and products. The foreign exchange, the foreign exchange on any given day is going to trade $6.6 trillion. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I was playing baseball, and I was home for an off season, and I started doing that. And really, what happened was, I started getting, family started, and then some friends started, and they saw that, okay, I'm adding value to them, by the knowledge and the wealth that I've gotten. However, that started with 15, 16-hour days learning and mastering the craft. And that's what I believe. In terms of, the financial planning side of it, that's great. But what we have to do first is we got to master the craft, right? Because one thing that I like to say I get to do as a business consultant is I talk to a lot of companies and a lot of people, entrepreneurs, who 99% of them have great ideas. They got great ideas. Well, I'll say 100% of them have great ideas, but 99% of them don't have great businesses. Right, so it's one thing to have a stellar idea, right? But without the right planning, you got to have a plan. Without the right planning, without the right structure and format to start, you're not going to have a great business. What's wrong with it?
It's ready to go.
Okay, you're not going to have a great business. And side story, I get up at 3:30 in the morning every day. And I do that because I want to get my work done so that I can have him during the day.
Good job.
Right? So,
Amen.
this is a product of that. But yeah, it's finding out ways to structure correctly in the beginning. Right? So, okay, before we can even get to how do I start making money, right? It's I don't want to go out the door, buddy. It's what gives people value and the most value for like the time that I have, right? And I think I'm running out of time. Anyway, maybe I'll come back later. But to kind of wrap it all up, okay? The biggest thing that we have to focus on, we want to focus on again, is adding value. I've said it 1,000 times already, right? We want to focus on adding value and. The best way, yes ma'am.
What's the name of your company?
All 9 Consulting and Solutions.
Okay, so what you're saying or bringing to the table today is the planning.
Yes ma'am.
And the planning for the business.
Planning.
So that's the most important part. And that means that there's a template of some sort that you
Yes ma'am. So
consult with?
yes ma'am, absolutely. So that's something that I can we can talk about for sure, more one-on-one, because I believe that it's real personal. I don't. I kind of follow a template, but I don't go, okay, step 1, 2, 3, right? Because some people skip steps, right? Some people need extra steps, So I like to definitely work one-on-one and figure out exactly where you're trying to add value. Like I said, that's the biggest thing, because if I know, especially working with, clients, if I know where you're trying to add value, then it's easier to figure out, okay, this is how we, this is where we start. And if I know this is where you're trying to go, because here's the thing, most people, okay, when I talk about having great ideas, they don't have a vision for where they're trying to go.
Right.
They have a great idea as, okay, I want to make money doing this, right? But how? Right? How are we going to get from point A to Z if that's where we're going, right? And then what's the big picture? What's the vision? That's why I asked you, okay, who are you trying to reach? Are we trying to do it? Is it local, right? Are we trying to reach people on a global scale, right? What industry are we trying to reach? All those things, right? And then what kind of research have you done to figure out, okay, let me not make this mistake, right, that I've seen other people make, or have you looked at that, right? Because again, most people will fall into these same few cracks and crevices, right? They haven't planned well, and because they haven't planned well, they haven't figured out what resources they need. And because they haven't figured out what resources they need, they don't know how to get to the next level, right? So they'll stay stuck on idea. I mean, I've heard some of the greatest ideas, and people have had these ideas for 10, 12, 15 years. They've been working, and they've been going around in the same circle because they don't know that all they had to do was get off right here, and there's the resource that they need, right? So I strive to be a resource. That's really what I strive to do. Make connections, be a resource, and I mean, been very, very successful at it here the last 5 or 6 years, with a bunch of other companies underneath that. You know, real estate investing. You know, I own another company called Ethereal Tech, which is recruiting and staffing and things like that. So, yeah, I strive to be a resource. So,
Inspiration.
I'll be a resource. Yeah, absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So thank you once again, and we're gonna go more into what you really need